Now, welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you clicking that play and joining me this week. Going to be doing a review, spoiler free, as always, on the show with the reviews for the biggest event of the year. That's right, me, Review at Rob, the DC guy who doesn't really necessarily like a lot of the Marvel stuff, is calling this movie the biggest event of the year because, quite frankly, and honestly, it is the truth. It is Deadpool and Wolverine, man. We're going to be talking about that again. Spoiler free talk on my thoughts on that movie. Again, like I've said, I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but I do enjoy a good amount of their movies. So, that's where I am. Anyways, but DC, we got some DC talk. Comic Con happened. So obviously we got that big Marvel news to talk about on this week's episode, some horror news to talk about, and things all around the realm of movies, television shows, fun times to be had nonetheless, man. So again, appreciate you joining in. And without further ado, let's jump in to this real quick. We got Deadpool and Wolverine. It is rated R for language throughout the film, of course. Gore, yes, there is gore. Sexual references, of course, would not be a Deadpool movie without them. And strong buddy violence. I guess that works. Strong buddy violence because Deadpool and Wolverine. But strong bloody violence for this film that runs at 2 hours and 8 minutes currently in theaters. It is a Marvel MCU movie. It is an action adventure comedy film. And it is the first, like I mentioned, it is an MCU movie, so it is the first Deadpool film that is in the Disney, Disney world, if you will. So, first edition of Deadpool to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's what MCU stands for, and it brings Wolverine back after how many years since Logan? Was it 6 years ago that Logan was? Seems longer, doesn't it? Logan. When did Logan come out? Logan was 2017. So 7 years, close enough. Quick math, but fun, man. I think it was 6 years since the last Deadpool movie. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, because obviously that Deadpool movie came out after Logan. So yes, so both of these characters coming back. It's first time for them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And there's all kinds of questions going around of how's this going to work? How is that Deadpool going to work in the Disney realm of things? So, of course, Disney a while ago bought 20th Century Fox, and all those properties came over to Disney, and X-Men and Deadpool were involved there. And of course, we had the two Deadpool movies before first film. Ultra fantastic, great time. You saw what you got with Deadpool. You got the vibes of Deadpool. Second film came out, enjoyable as well. Not as much as the first movie, but still enjoyable. And of course, like you just mentioned, Logan, we thought we were done with Wolverine. So fast forward to this year where we get to this movie that I don't think any of us would have ever kind of thought would happen. We knew that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were friends in real life, but we did not know that that was what ever Wolverine was done. Logan was dead. We did not know that these characters were going to come back, right? So it was very interesting time to get here. And we had the trailers and all that stuff for it, multiple trailers. I try not to watch too many trailers over and over again, or at least, multiple versions of trailers because they give away too much stuff. But I don't think that happened with this movie. They did give away a lot, but I don't think it necessarily ruined anything going into the movie. And like I mentioned, it's the biggest movie event of the year. It's kind of a slow year for comic book films. We only honestly have one Marvel Cinematic Universe film, one DC Elseworlds movie. We don't even have a DCU Elseworlds movie or DCU movie this year. We had Madam Web, but we don't talk about Madam Web. And Craven the Hunter is still coming this year, but it's not as swamped with comic book movies this year. It's kind of a slow year, so we just have this one and Joker being the big ones. And I think it is fair to say this is the biggest event of the year because I can look at the release calendar and there's nothing that's going to be on the hype level as this Beetlejuice gets close because a lot of people are hyped about that and seeing that classic character come back with Michael Keaton in the role and Tim Burton writing and directing and all that. So it's easily the biggest movie of the year. And going into it, I was like, cool, man, this is going to be fun. Like, I'm going to have a good time with this. Let's get that Thursday preview in there because you got to worry about the ass clowns that are on the internet that ruin things. So get that early preview in there and just go have a blast. And that's exactly what ended up happening here. So with Deadpool and Wolverine, like I mentioned the two Deadpool movies, enjoyed both of them, one more than the second one, but both are very, very enjoyable movies. And going into this one, I'm like, cool. I know what Ryan Reynolds is going to do as Deadpool. I'm into that. But even more so, what I was into is Wolverine. Like Wolverine, Besides Batman, Wolverine was one of the first comic book characters I ever knew of. Like Batman was the first, and then Wolverine was the second one. I remember just being a young kid watching the X-Men cartoon and playing like the X-Men video game. I want to say it was on Sega, Nintendo, one of the two maybe. But playing that game, eating some Pringles while playing it, and just having a good time. Be like, man, I freaking love Wolverine, dude. It was an X-Men game, but I loved playing as Wolverine. Wolverine was always my dude. So living through all those X-Men movies, good or bad, however you want to describe them, is how it was. And then of course you had Logan, which is one of the absolute best of all time when it comes to the comic book realm. So, or just in movies in general, it's a fantastic movie. So I wasn't knowing what to expect, right? Getting Wolverine back, I knew it would be done well, based on the team here, based on what Ryan Reynolds has created with Deadpool, knowing what Hugh Jackman can do as Wolverine. I knew that stuff. And then you bring in Sean Levy, who was the director of this movie, and dude, man, is freaking great at what he does. I mostly know him for Stranger Things. He's been behind a lot of Stranger Things and helps. Stranger Things is obviously one of the biggest properties that are out there, but of course he's done other things. Free Guy recently with Ryan Reynolds, Night at the Museum films, all kinds of things that he's been a part of. So you know what he's doing, but this is a big, big, big time movie. Wow, cheaper by the dozen and Big Fat Liar. So I've known this guy for a while, but he's really like Stranger Things. I think brought him up to a new level with a lot of people, and then obviously this is a big time level here for him with Deadpool and Wolverine. So going into the movie, again, spoiler free thoughts here. So basically the idea here of the movie, I don't even have the synopsis. I'm just riffing on this episode. So if you saw Deadpool 2, hopefully you did before seeing this movie, you know that Deadpool at the end of that film, he has with Cable's contraption that helps Cable time travel. Deadpool has it. He was playing with it and all that stuff. The TVA, of course, time variant associate or some time variant, whatever. um, Obviously got to wear that. They didn't like it. They're coming after Deadpool and all that stuff. And then, of course, the actions, as we probably know from this comic book world of multiverses, actions happening cause other actions to happen. And then his multiverse was dying and all that stuff. So he's got to go through time. He's going to look for Wolverine to help him save his universe because obviously Wolverine is the big guy, right? So and that's where we're going to leave it when it comes to the ideas of the movies, because we are not spoiling anything on this episode. So, excitement for the film was met. Like I was very, dude, the beginning of this movie, man. Like again, hopefully you've seen the other Deadpool movies, so you know how the first movie starts with a musical scene, action, and all that. Second film has one as well, and so you knew something was coming, but I did not know that I was getting what I was getting with this one, and is easily my favorite of the three openings. Is just it was absolutely incredible. Starts off with a great pace. Starts off exactly like, okay, cool, we're not losing anything with Deadpool coming over here to be Disneyfied, if you will. It's still going to have that same vibe, that same action, that same raunchiness, that same blood, guts, gore, hilarity that we got with the other Deadpool movies. So we're not missing out on anything, and that's just, we can go from there. They explain very well what's going on with Wolverine and how all the Wolverine stuff works in here. And it is just a good time from start to finish. Like there's nothing I can say about this movie that I didn't like. Like I enjoyed every single aspect of the film. The baddie in the movie, the villain, fantastic. Like she is awesome. The cameos in the movie, again, no spoilers, but good cameos. It's not like it's not some of these movies you'll get like a flash cameo. It's just like, oh look, there's that guy, and then out. Right? Don't really pay much to story or anything like that. This movie, happy to say, not the case. The cameos in this movie actually mean something and are worth something in this movie. So the cameos are freaking solid, man. And the story is good. Like the story is really, really good. Talking earlier about trailers. The last trailer they released, like the final trailer before release, was emotional. It was an emotional trailer. And the movie is, even though, like I mentioned, it has that action, that adventure, that bloodiness, that cussing, that vulgar attitude that we were used to with Deadpool, it honestly has such a heart. And that's not to say the other ones didn't. The first one had a really good heart to it. Um, because he's all about Vanessa, and he wants to get his girl back and all that stuff. And it's a good start story there, and him dealing with his diagnosis and what he's going through and all that stuff. Like the first movie, it does have a really good heart to it. Second movie is Not as strong as that one to me, but it still has a strong story. You know, he's trying to uh, save uh, save this kid from doing something that's irreparable damage to the future. To pretty much do what he thinks his girl again, Vanessa, would want. So there is some good heart to the other two Deadpool movies, and we didn't lose that here either. Like the story is extremely strong, but we're now adding in the story of Wolverine and what's going on with him. Like we mentioned with Logan, this is a different Wolverine. They noticed that they said that in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. This is a Wolverine that has failed in the past. Like he failed his X-Men, he failed his team, and all that stuff. So it tells that story and the emotional beats of that. And like honestly, Hugh Jackman, I mean, I think a lot of people understand how talented Hugh Jackman is, but seeing this movie is like, dude, we need to praise this man more. Like he is in freaking incredible in this movie with his emotion, with it, everything he does. He's still got that Wolverine badassery to him after all these years. He still is just badass as Wolverine, but that just emotion and character and acting that this man can do. Like honestly, coming out of that movie, I'm like, Hugh Jackman might be one of my top 10 favorite actors. Like honestly, like that's a dude who is just incredible at what he freaking does, man. And I'm excited anytime I get to see that man act, and even so much so in this movie. So solid story, still got your Deadpool stuff that you're gonna love. Um, Great cameos. I mean, great cameos and worthwhile cameos, and a very, very flipping good story. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, easily one of the best movies of the year. It is. It's gonna be in my top 10 favorite. It's gonna be in my top 5 favorite movies of the year, for sure. When it comes down to a top 10 list and all that stuff, because it just blew me away with what they did with this movie, what they created. I'm itching to see it again. Hopefully, I can get out there and see it again in theaters. But man, what a time that movie was, man. So if you haven't somehow seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet, go see it and have an absolute blast with it because it is worth your time. So, yes, that is my spoiler free thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine. There you go, man. Hope you liked it. So we got to go from there. Normally, I go into like I have mandatory segments to talk about on the show, with horror and DC are mandatory, and I've got horror and DC for you. But I think coming out of the Marvel MCU movie that we just talked about, we've got to talk about the big thing that happened at Comic Con involving the MCU, and that's the fact that we've got some returns happening in the MCU, and uh, let's not bury it. Robert Downey Jr. is back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe after the events of Endgame and his character. He is back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is not Tony Stark. He's not Iron Man. He is and has been announced at Comic Con. This is not a guess. This is what was announced at Comic Con. He is Victor Von Doom, also known as Doctor Doom. So Doctor Doom is the big bad here because they have announced also that the Avengers Kang movie is now Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars, of course, still happening, but Kang gone after the events of things that happened. Um, Kang is gone. Unfortunate real life situation. They had to get rid of their Kang storyline, and they're pushing Doom. They're immediately going with Robert Downey Jr. The Russo brothers are back as well for these Avengers movies. So, and we knew that they wanted to come back for Secret Wars because they said they wanted to do that. So they're back to do the thing over here, which is fine. We like the Russo brothers and all that. But give Sean Levy something as well because he just freaking he nailed it with Deadpool. I don't know how much Stranger Things he's doing, but yeah, let's give that man some more stuff. But and like my initial response was what? Like that was my initial response when I was told the news. Zach from Honors sent it to a group chat we're in, and I'm like, what? And then I looked it up and I saw the video on social media and all this stuff. I'm like, holy freaking crap, they're actually doing this because it's been rumored and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's just a throwaway rumor that happens, right? And then seeing the video, I'm like, my God, they're doing this. And like you hear the crowd reaction, the crowd's excited about it, but I'm still in a sense of love Robert Downey Jr. Fantastic actor. I am gonna give them the benefit of like wait and see what they do, right? Because we can't immediately judge these things. I mean, remember, yeah, let's go back to 1989, even before then, because they had to shoot the movie when they announced it. But remember, Michael Keaton was announced as Batman. This is pre-social media and all that stuff. People were like, "What do you mean Michael Keaton's going to be Batman? This is going to be just another ridiculous. This is. I thought it was supposed to be different from the Adam West film. I thought we were going to get more serious and all that stuff." And you know, decades later, people are like Michael Keaton's the greatest Batman of all time. Dude, there was even people who didn't like Heath Ledger being cast as Joker. It's like, oh, that man just does the heartthrobby movies. He's not gonna be able to do it. And then, of course, he's considered the greatest comic book persona of all time, right? The greatest performance of all time. Won an Oscar for it and all that stuff. So we can't overly judge these things and say that it's terrible casting. But what we can do is we're like, we just spent all this time with him as Tony Stark. And now you're telling me because of the multiverse and all that stuff that he is Victor Von Doom now. Like, this isn't a Tony Stark variant. He is Victor Von Doom. Doctor Doom. And primarily Doctor Doom keeps the mask on because of like something happened to his face and all that stuff. Again, sorry, not a huge Marvel guy, so I don't know the full thing there, but I know he keeps the mask on. So there's like people like, why would you get Robert Downey Jr. for that? You know, we loved him as Iron Man. We don't want to lose that. And he's just going to keep the mask on the whole time. He could have just given it to somebody else, or even if you could just cast somebody else as it. There's a lot of people like Cillian Murphy should have played it and all that stuff, which I don't know, maybe Cillian Murphy doesn't want to do Superman movies or superhero movies. Who knows? But there's been that chatter. There's been people that are really upset about this. I've seen people that are really, really upset about it. And I'm just in the camp of I'll wait and see what happens. Like, I get the multiverse and all that. I understand you could have different versions of characters and different this and different that. It's just, you spend all this time loving them and being sad over them. It's like, now we got to root against them. Right? I mean, Doctor Doom's a complicated character. We'll see how they end up or where they end up going with it and all that stuff because we still got to build up to that. Ugh. But, yeah, it's been met with some mixed feelings. Like, again, I think a lot of people love Robert Downey Jr. It's not anything against Robert Downey Jr. I think it's just a matter of uh, they don't know why. And again, we don't really know the why yet either. We're gonna need more stuff. But I think he's gonna show up. I mean, Doctor Doom's related to the Fantastic Four, so I would assume he's gonna show up in that Fantastic Four movie, and then that's where we're gonna build up and lead to, kind of like they did with Thanos. But we'll see. I think they showed footage for Fantastic Four as well. I didn't write that down because I didn't see it personally, so I can't really react to it. But I think Galactus was in there, so there's things happening. they're building, and some people are like, "Oh, this is a desperation move because Marvel's been behind the ball, and they've got to make up for things since Endgame and yada yada yada." So they're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. They're bringing back the Russo brothers and all that stuff. I could see that thought process as well that people are having, man. So this is interesting. This is an interesting time to be a part of, right? So nonetheless, it's happening. No matter how much people want to complain about it, it's gonna happen. Like, we all know, Robert Downey Jr. is a fantastic actor, and we just have to wait to see what the vision is, right? But again, it's not a Tony Stark variant. And of course, Marvel does lie about things, so it might be a Tony Stark variant for all we know, or they could change it to be a Tony Stark variant, but it is not. From what we understand and what they said, he is Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom. Man, that Doctor Doom meet and greet is going to be interesting at Universal Studios now. Huh? It's going to be an interesting one. But nonetheless, there you go, man. So we had to jump into that real quick after we got done talking Deadpool and Wolverine. So there we go, man. Let's go to the other side of things here with DC. They had their Comic Con as well. They did a Penguin panel and all that stuff. They showed the Penguin trailer, which I did do a reaction to the Penguin trailer. You can check that out on the Throw Me Podcast Network's YouTube. While you're there, man, hit that like, hit that subscribe. But we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But they did do that. Penguin's happening this year, September. Excited for that, of course. Even more excited, and also did a trailer reaction to this, they dropped the teaser trailer for Creature Commandos. So excited about that. Did my teaser trailer reaction to that. That is also on the Throw Me Podcast Network's YouTube. Go check it out. But yeah, so excited for that, man. Oh my God. freaking DC animation's always been held to a very high regard, and people have really loved their animation. So, it looks so good. It's gonna be so good, man. Like that's gonna be a really good freaking show, and I'm excited about all that. So we got that. We got the official DC Studios logo revealed. That shirt sold out almost immediately, as was put out at the DC um, section of Comic Con this week. So the excitement's there. The excitement's building. After that freaking Robert Downey Jr. news came out, and people were mixed in their feelings and upset about it and all that stuff. I saw a lot of people saying, "All right, now it's up to James Gunn to save the comic book universe." I'm like, "Fucking here we go." By the time you came over here and helped, support DC, you freaking clowns. But I am a DC guy. Y'all know that. I love DC to death, but I don't sit here and like, I don't like DC. Don't watch Marvel. Watch them both, man. Watch them both. Enjoy them. If you don't like some of the movies, you don't like some of the movies. It's just the way it is. But it was funny to see that, to where how the tables have turned now and all that stuff. But just go support both of them. Have a good time. Support movies, man. Movie theaters need us. But I am I'm excited for the things that are to come. Um, did I? No, I didn't do a Penguin trailer reaction. I did a Joker trailer reaction. I did not react to the Penguin trailer. Um, I did a Joker 2 trailer because that came out this week as well. So I did a reaction to that. Apologize. But I'm excited for that movie too. Like I think the the questions that we have with that movie about the musical aspect and stuff, it's starting to come a little more clear. But I think it's gonna stand right there with the first one, like the first Joker movie, and how successful that was, and Joaquin Phoenix winning awards and all that stuff. Like I can see it being up for more awards. But we did have some bites here coming out from the Joker, um, where Todd Phillips said, when asked about Joaquin Phoenix's Joker becoming the clown prince of crime, he said, "quote We would never do that. Um, Arthur clearly is not a criminal mastermind. He was never that. Arthur has become a symbol to the people. This unwilling, unwitting symbol, now paying for the crimes of the first film, but at the same time finding the only thing he ever wanted, which was love. That's always what he's been about, even though he's been pushed, pulled in all these directions. So we tried to make the most pure version of that." Um, so it seems like more than anything with Arthur Fleck in this movie, and again, this is just Todd Phillips' creative vision for the Joker character. So, I mean, I don't know what the future of these Joker movies are. I don't know what the future of any of these Elseworlds films are. They're just kind of making them. I I don't know, because Bruce Wayne was in the first Joker movie. He's still a kid. Um, and then, of course, we have the Batman film, which is not tied to this at all because there's a separate Joker in that movie. So yeah, I think the Joker films are just artistic creations with the familiar name, and if anything, if there is a future of these movies, it's gonna be Arthur getting killed by the actual Joker. The person he inspired to be the Joker, and wanting it to be a different vision would be the thought I would have there. Um, yeah, it's just somebody. It's like what people do online with fan fiction and just creating their own stuff based off of IPs. It's kind of just what's going on here. Todd Phillips is just working and making enjoyable movies, from what I can see. That movie's gonna be a good time. Gaga will also had a soundbite from her talking about her singing in this movie. So she said, quote, "People know me by my stage name, Lady Gaga, right? That's me as that performer, but that is not what this movie is," end quote. So she's, of course, playing what we know as Harley Quinn. I think the character is just known as Lee in the movie. Might be Harley, and they're just calling her Lee as like a stage name, or like a short nickname for Harley. But we'll see. I mean, I think I don't know. There's questions around this movie, but it's gonna be enjoyable nonetheless. But it's just the what versions or what they're doing with the characters. They're just creating what they want to create, and it seems, um, which is fine. Which is fine. Again, that first Joker movie is fantastic, and what she was talking about there with her singing style in the movie is to not really expect her to be the Lady Gaga style of singing because Lady Gaga is a character she plays. I think her real name's Stephanie, if I remember correctly. So we'll just go that route and see how that all ends up going. We haven't necessarily heard her sing. We saw a little soundbite at the end of the trailer of her singing a little bit, but we shall see how it all goes from there. All right, let's see. But that's it, DC wise, man. Um, Going over to horror, let's see. A sequel to this year's horror film In a Violent Nature has officially been announced by Shudder. That was also announced at Comic Con. Um, so if you saw that movie and if you're excited for a sequel, you are getting one. As far as the first movie, if you've not seen it yet, it will be hitting Shudder, who of course created the movie. It'll be hitting Shudder this Friday, September 13th. So I like the fact that it's releasing on Friday the 13th. Obviously, Friday the 13th is a huge thing for horror fans. And I mentioned it in my review of the film. It was kind of like playing the Friday the 13th game as far as the visuals aspect and all that stuff. You're walking behind the killer and all that. So let's see how it goes. I don't know that it needs a sequel, but did well enough for them to be like, hey, let's make a sequel. So if they want to do that and they want to do it the same way, more power to them. Just don't go over the top and get crazy or with it. Let's see. Something happening that, kind of become the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise over here a little bit, if you ask me. But here we go. Yet again, I Know What You Did Last Summer is being rebooted. They're doing it again. I remember that failed TV show that they tried to put out that nobody really remembered happening, but it did happen. Um, they're doing it. Sony's rebooting I Know What You Did Last Summer to star Camila Mendez and Madeline Klein. If you don't know who they are, Camila Mendez was in the show Riverdale. She has some other acting credits, and Madeline Klein was in, I want to say it was a Netflix show called Outer Banks or The Outer Banks or something like that. I've never watched it. But those are going to be your stars. As far as original series stars, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt are apparently in talks to return. And the film will release next year, July 18th, 2025. So, as you can tell with the way I'm reading that, I'm not overly enthused by it. It's releasing a week after Superman, so good on them for not going against Superman. It wasn't going to do good for you. Probably still won't do good for you a week later. But I think fantastic. Something Marvel's releasing the last week of July. I think it's Fantastic Four. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I don't. To be completely honest with you, with the I Know What You Did Last Summer property, like I saw both of those movies. Yeah, it is Fantastic Four. That's releasing at the end of July next year. So I don't care necessarily about that property. Like it's one of those that came out that was trying to strike at a time where horror was coming back alive, right? With the Scream and all that. It's like, all right, let's jump back into it. Let's get the teens involved. Let's make it like one of these films. Let's make it like Scream. I just never really cared, to be honest with you. I just never. And I'm doing a rewatch because I haven't watched either one of those movies, God, since they came out. To be honest with you, I've just. I don't ever think about it. Like I never think about the I Know What You Did Last Summer films. You know what I'm saying? Like I just it never crosses my mind until I have to talk about it news wise on the show. It's never a thing. So it's happening. It's coming out next year. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see if it hits any snags by then. But you know, we'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Actually, no, there is something else to talk about, which is very annoying to me if this is actually true. So I going through social media, and of course, you can't believe everything we see on social media, obviously. but there is rumored details that have come out for the Until Dawn movie that's being made. And if you know me, you know how much I love that game. Like, that game is easily one of my all-time favorite video games. And I was not a fan of Uncharted, and that is another one of those movies based on a game that I love to death, a game series I love to death. And video game turned to movies is tough. Like, it's just, I don't know why it's tough for them to do that, but it is tough. And I mean, I know why. It takes out the first person vibe of it. Like, you're no longer playing the video game, you're watching the movie. You're not playing it anymore, so you don't have that hands-on feeling with it. But anyways, here we go. So the Until Dawn rumor plot details are: one, that it is a new story with little similarity to the game. Already mad. Two, yeah, because that's not it. There's more. Two, it's centered on two siblings, Clover and Melanie. Three, characters are stuck in a death loop they must break before dawn. Not even close to what that movie is or what that game is. Four, extremely egregious. No Wendigos. Are you fucking kidding me? Five, characters named Max and Megan. And then six, it's a possible slasher. What are you doing? And again, this is rumor, so this is why I'm not getting overly mad and upset and annoyed by this. But my God, what a way to butcher something if this is what they're doing, because that is not the game at all. That sounds absolutely horrific, to be honest with you. Oh, yay, we're stuck in a death loop. It's fucking Happy Death Day. That is literally Happy Death Day. Stuck in a death loop over and over again. So we're just making Happy Death Day and calling it Until Dawn. You're just using the name Until Dawn to get people in there. That is horrible. That is, oh, God, I hope that's not true. No Wendigos. Maybe it's a slasher movie. We're completely changing the story with a little similarity to it. Get the hell out of here. Get it out of here. Like, that just stinks to high heaven. That is not something. Oh, all right. All right, let's get the show over with before I get a little more annoyed. What other news do we have before we close it out? Top Gun 3. Top Gun 3 apparently has a start date for where it's going to start doing its business, according to Glenn Powell. That movie will go into production at some point in time. I think it's Tom Cruise shooting a Mission Impossible right now. Maybe. And he's supposed to be shooting a movie in space as well. I don't know what's going on with that movie. But yeah, Top Gun. Sorry, guys, I'm annoyed. I'm so annoyed by that Until Dawn stuff. I hope it's fake. I mean, obviously, I think we all knew a Top Gun movie would probably come again after this huge success that was Top Gun 2. And I'm excited, man. I'm glad I'm into it. I'm not. I know a lot of people are getting annoyed by Glenn Powell because he's just everywhere right now. He's the male version of what people are feeling with Jenna Ortega, who is everywhere. I love Jenna Ortega though, so I got no problem with Jenna Ortega being everywhere. But I don't know. I'm not necessarily annoyed by Glenn Powell anymore either. It is what it is, man. It's what Hollywood is. Strike while the iron's hot, right? And if it's working, it's working. And he's apparently friends with Tom Cruise, so that's going to help him as well. So I'm excited for more Top Gun. More Top Gun is a good thing, if done right. And if you got Tom Cruise there, it's going to be done right. So he knows what to do with those Top Gun films, man. So there you go. That's going to be it for this episode. Appreciate you joining in. Hey, Halloween Horror Nights, getting very close. We are basically less than a month before it's starting. Like, it starts at the end of August. So yeah, we're less than a month. Less than a month, Halloween Horror Nights starts. Yes. Which means my trip is very close to happening too, which means I need to get pretty serious about my walking and losing weight. But we've had some great announcements with Halloween Horror Nights, man. Be sure to check out the Rummy Podcast Network network shows. All of them, we do great stuff. We have a good time over here. And, of course, Hunter's Podcast released a new episode talking about their stuff and all that. And there will be more episodes to come, of course. We've got to have a hype list episode at some point for the things that have been announced. There's one more thing that hasn't officially been announced, but we already know it because it's freaking been shown in the park. What a rough year it's been announcement wise for Halloween Horror Nights. But for this guy who's a huge Halloween Horror Nights fan, just freaking loyal to no end, if I was ever more understanding that I'm a Hufflepuff, it is my loyalty to Halloween Horror Nights and not getting upset or mad at them for having horrible announcing. But I'm gonna be there, obviously, and I'm always gonna be there if I can. If God willing, I will always be at Halloween Horror Nights if I have the opportunity. So I'm excited about that. It's fun to think about the fact that we're basically a month away from it starting, basically a month away from the trip, a month and a couple weeks, and good times, man. Good times. What I wait for every year. But that's the end of this episode. Appreciate you all. If you stayed along this whole time, thank you. I'm a weird dude. I'm a rambler. I'm a rambling man, but I do it for stuff I absolutely love and adore. And I love doing this show. It's been so much fun always doing the show. I look forward to doing this episode every week, and it might be why I still do one even while I'm at Halloween Horror Nights, because I just love doing this show. So again, if you've been with me this whole time, appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.